Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A Matchday 28. We have Derby della Madonnina, Inter Milan. The Scudetto title race is over, 10 points distance, but still, Leo, of course, a really good game with the Milan teams. And in recent meetings, the Rossoneri have won. So let's see if Inter can bring some joy to their fans.
Yes, absolutely, Edu, and it's true that lately Milan has been better than Inter in the Derby della Madonnina, but to be honest, if Inter wins on Sunday night and if they make it 13 points, the gap at the top, they should be bringing the Serie A official, they should be bringing the trophy to San Siro and really give it to 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 team, but still, we need to wait for Sunday. We know that until the game with Juventus, Inter was not managing to win the big games under 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐬, so I'm really looking forward for Sunday night.
Yeah, and even this game was very controversial with the red card in the last minute, so they didn't play well. Well, we have also the fight for the Champions League, really interesting, and for the relegation, let's talk about Italian football. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me your tips and predictions for this derby in Milan. And now let's go on with the show. And for Friday, we have a good game. The early kickoff on Friday is Napoli-Torino. We mentioned last video, or at least I did, Leo, that I thought Napoli were going to struggle against Verona, and they did struggle. They had to wait until the extra time with a late winner from Lukaku to win in a pitch that should be easy. In Verona, now they have two home games that also should win against Torino. And Lecce, Torino finally won, so they are kind of comfortable, 6 points away from relegation. And Simeone, ex-Napoli, scored in that last game against Lazio.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. And last season they lost at the 𝐻𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀, so it was good for Conte and for Napoli to win last weekend in extremis, as you mentioned, on added time with Lukaku finally scoring back this season. It was great to see him scoring again, scoring a winning goal, which keeps Napoli on track for a top four finish. Emotional goal, his first since they won the Scudetto last season. It was not the case of seeing Romelu Lukaku finally recover from his serious injury. Since his return at the beginning of January, he hasn't been able to play more than 20 minutes. He went close to scoring against Juventus, close to scoring against Chelsea in the Champions League, but in the end, yes, he managed to score deep on added time against Verona. His post-match interview, very moving, with him in tears, remembering his father. All those layers of a footballer that many times we do not pay much attention, but or we don't know to get to, or we don't get to know in detail, but which for sure have a massive impact in their performances. And Lukaku's goal felt even bigger on Sunday night because Roma's dropping points, which meant Conte's team is now third with 2 points gap in their Champions League aspirations. Maybe the way forward for Conte should be, why not to play together Højlund and Lukaku. Inter plays two strikers, Edu, and they have scored 20 goals more than anyone else. Torino, they play with two strikers against Lazio and they won. And with Verona, they share the pitch 20 minutes, Højlund and Lukaku. So now we will see how it goes against the Granata. The bad news for Conte, another injury, this time again, 𝗲𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀, who is ruled out for Friday. At home, Napoli won 2, drew 3 of the last 5. And this Torino manager and this Torino team, they will face at the back of a win and at the back of new manager bounce. That's what happened for them now with 𝗲𝗲𝗿𝗀 after placing Baroni. Perfect start for him, and as you mentioned, a 6 points buffer with Lecce and the Red Zone. Simeone and Duván Zapata scoring the goals for for Torino, both of them ex-Napoli players. Last time on the road for the Granata was a 3-0 defeat with Genoa. Napoli win could be a high safe bet here at 1.5, I will believe. But my take is a combined one, Napoli to win, combined with the Napoli first team to score. These two together, odds of 2.16.
Let's see if they can win at the Maradona, because this season we've seen them struggling also against poor teams like this Torino. For Saturday, first game is Cagliari 𝐿𝐵𝐵 now in the road or in the race to play Champions League, only 3 points away from Roma, and they are going to meet Roma next week. They are also in the race for the Coppa Italia final. We saw them drawing against Inter in midweek, and they beat Lecce and Juve in the last two games. Therefore, Leo, they are in really good form. For Cagliari, they got a draw against Parma, really expected that result, winless in 4. So the bookies see 𝐿𝐵𝐵 as favorites.
Yes, and fair enough, Edu. And 𝐿𝐵𝐵 played on Tuesday night, the first leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final. Not a very entertaining game with Inter, 0-0, so everything open for them to play at San Siro, the second leg. Fabregas for sure was one to celebrate 𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐻𝐻's goal at the Olimpico for Juventus, because that meant the distance with the 4th spot, with the Champions League positions, is just 3 points away. And with that huge game coming up as well after Cagliari with Roma, very surprising to see against Lecce 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 not included on the starting 11, especially considering that he did not take part against Juventus because he was suspended the previous weekend. Before facing Inter, Fabregas was asked if 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 was on the bench against Lecce because he wanted to keep him fresher for the game against Inter, but he said that was nothing related to that. It was his decision. And yesterday also in Italy, they were La Gazzetta dello Sport was mentioning that it was a disciplinary action that he took with 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 because he was late for some team meeting. So we will see. But anyway, 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 was or played from the start against Inter in a false 9 position. But the important thing for 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 is that yes, they did manage to make it 6 points out of 6 without 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 playing. The game with Lecce was important after getting 4 points away with Milan and Juventus. They needed to show that they could keep the focus and the performance also against lesser team. It was great to see Jesus Rodriguez again scoring. Actually, it was his first goal in Serie A for the 𝗔𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻. The second half was the chance to see Morata again after his red card against Fiorentina. It was the return as well for the last 5-7 minutes of the match for Assane Diao, so hopefully we're going to see him playing more regularly. And Cagliari, he's going to be waiting in Sardinia at the back of 2 consecutive draws and 4 games without winning for them. This is a team that 2 of the last 3 wins at home were against Juventus and Roma, but I won't trust them here, Edu. My take straight 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻 to win 1.67.
All right, really favorite indeed. Fabregas' team, smart bet is under 1.5 goals. Very risky, 3.4, only 1 goal in this game, but could be. Of course, we are talking about the Serie A. Next one is Atalanta Udinese. Remember, Atalanta, the only Italian team alive in the Champions League, and they are playing the following week against Bayern Munich. They paid the effort, Leo, last weekend. They lost to Sassuolo. They paid the effort after beating Borussia Dortmund, and their great run in Serie A came to an end. Udinese beat Fiorentina 3-0 after 3 consecutive defeats. Let's see if Atalanta are thinking more in this Champions League clash instead of in Udinese.
Yes, and of course, the first thought it was like, okay, the hangover was continuing for this Atalanta and the defeat against Sassuolo. But I think at the same time it was not a case of or down to a lack of attitude or energy. The defeat, probably Sassuolo going down to 10 men made things even more difficult for Atalanta, because Fabio Grosso's team sat very deep. There was no space to run in behind for Atalanta in the final third. The game also did not become one with many transitions, as Sassuolo was hardly leaving their own half, and we know how well Atalanta performs in those scenarios where the game becomes a little bit chaotic. The second goal with 20 minutes to go was a killer blow for them, although after Musa's scored the 1-2 with 2 minutes to go, then on another time Atalanta hit the woodwork. And it was the first Serie A goal for Musa wearing the black and blue, as he is on loan from Milan, where he's not missed at all. Atalanta is playing Lazio on Wednesday night in the other Coppa Italia semi-final, and it could be the fourth time in the last 8 seasons that they reach the final of the competition. More importantly, that will guarantee them European football if they manage to win it. But we will see how they manage to juggle as well with 3 competitions in these coming weeks. The one with Sassuolo was the first defeat in the last 10 Serie A matches. At home in Serie A, they won 7 of the last 8, and the last 5 in a row, scoring 11 times, conceding just 2. And Udinese on Matchday 27 show one more time how amazingly inconsistent they are. This time not by losing, but by winning the game against Fiorentina and winning the game also in style. It was good for Udinese the return of Kenan Davis from injury. He scored the second goal from the penalty spot. 8 goals this season for the English striker. 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝗀 was quick to praise him. He said that he returned even earlier than they expected because he wanted to help the team. And the English striker showed all his attributes against Fiorentina, that he's fast, that he's good on 1v1s, that he can protect the ball well with his body, and he also, of course, scored. For Udinese on the road, 3 wins and 6 defeats in the last 9. With Zaniolo and Kenan Davis up front, I think this at least Udinese attack looks a little bit more promising. You could add as well to that 𝐜𝐭𝐴 arriving from midfield. Playing at home, we know Atalanta create chances and usually takes them. So my option here, Edu, is both teams to score yes, odds of 1.95.
All right, and then also for Saturday we have Juventus Pisa. Juventus, I think they can be considered happy and lucky to get a point at the Olympico after being 3-1 down, scoring in the very last minute from a set piece. I guess, Leo, the positives is that they try until the end. They are showing some resilience, as they did also in the Champions League against Galatasaray, the same against Roma, even if the team is not playing well, even if the team, Leo, keeps conceding so many goals. Winless in the last 4, conceding at least 2 goals per game in those 4 games. So a lot of things to consider, but this one should be an easy one for them, and finally to break the bad record.
Look, it's 20 goals conceded in the last 7 matches in all competitions. It's very difficult to grab a Champions League spot with that defensive record, but still they are on track for that. Another show of fighting spirit, belief, and heart from this Juventus, and we can say a lot of them in the last few weeks, but we can't say that they lack character. That's for sure. Because Roma winning would have meant that they were going to be 7 points clear of Juventus. There are 11 matches to play still until the end of the season, and the only top 5 team that Juventus will play until the end of the season, that one is Milan. So I won't discard them for this fight, and of course it won't be easy because to get that 4th spot, because Roma is absolutely there, because Atalanta, despite the defeat with Sassuolo, is close there, because 𝐿𝐵𝐵 has 3 points as well behind the top 4. This week, Dusan Vlahovic is likely to return to full training with the squad, and maybe he could even be part of the bench against Pisa, and that could be a very good uplift for the last third of the season. Vlahovic, who was close to leaving the summer, close to leaving winter, and now he's about to renew his contract until 2030, something that 𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐵 had done as well this week. He's contracting now with Juventus until 2030. The effort at the Olimpico was as well good, because it was done without Locatelli, who was suspended, and after, of course, all the fatigue accumulated after those 120 minutes with Galatasaray, and after mostly playing 3 of the last 4 matches with 10 men, this Juventus. But of course, still they cannot leave thinking they're always gonna react. Jeremy Boga and Gatti, the ones who scored the second and the third goal against Roma, both of them came off from the bench, which meant that now Juventus have scored 8 goals with substitutes this season, the same as Atalanta and Cagliari, and only behind Inter in that stat. So something which is working for Spalletti. We saw one of the goals of the season at the Olimpico with 𝐿𝐵𝐴. I think we all dream to hit the ball like that once in our lifetime. And now with Pisa, the contribution or not contribution from substitute still should be enough for Juventus to produce goals and to get the 3 points against this Pisa, which is winless since November. Another defeat at home on added time for Pisa. It happened with Milan, and now with Bologna last weekend. My take here, Edu, is clear. Juventus Asian handicap minus 1.5, odds of 1.73.
They really, really need a win, and Pisa is the perfect rival. Only one win in this season for Pisa. The other 2 teams that might go to Serie B clash on Sunday. Both teams to lose game. Leo, Lecce, Cremonese in Via del Mare, 24 points. Both of them is the last spot to go to Serie B. Here, Lecce favorites, not because they are playing at home, also because they are doing better in the last games, even if Lecce lost to Como and Inter, but they've been more competitive in the last weeks, totally the opposite. For Cremonese, keep losing, even if the last game, Leo, against Milan, they were very close, until the 80th minute. They were, it was a draw in the score sheet, but yeah, at the end, they ended up losing. The last win for Cremonese, 7th of December.
And against whom? Against Lecce as well. And Cremonese, yes, but they were close to at least match a point. Milan scoring on added time both goals, and after Pavlovic scored the opener, they went all in attack, and they were huge spaces at the back, and then Leao scored the second one. But I think this weekend is the day when Cremonese will more than probably taste relegation zone for the first time all season. A team that won in San Siro in their debut, that the first 4 months of the competition was not even looking over the shoulders. A team that at the beginning of December won away against Bologna, and then at home, as I said, against Lecce in the reverse fixture. But since then, they have only added 4 points from 39 points in dispute, and scored only 3 goals in those 13 matches. 8 of their 9 defeats in this awful run have all been defeats 2-0 for Cremonese. But if there is a must-win game, it has to be this one. More than a 6-pointer is going to be a season-defining game for Cremonese. For Lecce, could have the same impact, but I think Lecce knows the situation well. They have been in this position the last few seasons. After those 2 consecutive wins, they are now at the back of 2 defeats. With Como, they took the advantage early, but in the end, by the end of the first half, they were already 2 goals down. Lecce has scored 18 goals only this season, less than Cremonese's 21. But in the last 4 match days, They have scored 5 goals, which is more than Cremonese managed, as I said, in the last 13 games. I think it's going to be a game full of nerves. Nothing tells us here to expect a goal feast, of course. Goals under 2.5 is at 1.48. I could be looking at the cards market also. I won't go X1 or X2. My take here is halftime correct score 0-0, odds of 2.25.
Indeed, do not look for a goal feast. 18 goals scored by Lecce, 21 for Cremonese this season. Very nervy game. Both need to win to avoid relegation, something that is impossible for Verona. Traveling to Bologna in the next game is 9 points away, so they are going down to Serie B. No wins for them since 14th of December, and now facing Bologna. They turn around the situation, Leo, in the last game. Is the fourth consecutive 1-0 for them, including the Europa League tie against Bran. Beat Pisa 1-0. And remember, we have an Italian clash in Europa League next week. Bologna facing Roma.
Big one, that one, Edu. Yes, and it's 5 consecutive wins in all competitions. And as you mentioned, very good. How much they improve the defensive performance lately, winning all these games for a 1-goal margin, clean sheets is very important for 𝐬𝐭𝐴 Italiano's Bologna, Edu. They are not yet at the level of the first 4 months of the season, but winning, it helps for what they need, definitely. 𝐜𝐿 scoring the winning goal against Pisa for Bologna. He came on the second half, was the MVP of the game. When you are playing every 3 days, as the case of Bologna at the moment, you need that type of contribution from someone coming off the bench who would bring intensity and quality, and 𝐜𝐿 did exactly that. Orsolini, despite not scoring, also did well coming from the bench. For Bernardeschi and 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 was more like a day off in attack, because they did not play at the level they shown lately. Bologna, anyway, they should have scored earlier in that game against Pisa. The first half was pretty good, I would say, and Santi Castro had even 2 chances to score. And then the second half, fatigue probably as well played their part for sure for Bologna. I think it's the worst possible draw to play Roma in the Europa League. Usually, when you play a team from your own league, is the worst draw in European competitions, because it has a different dimension, different intensities. Probably they will have choose a different rival for this last 16 tie of the Europa League. In terms of rotation, or looking forward to that game with Roma, I think that Santi Castro will be given a rest with Verona. He's been starting almost every game this 2026, and 𝐬𝐿𝐴 Italiano will have the chance to do it, because in front is going to be a team away from home. They conceded 9 goals in the last 3 matches. My take here, Bologna to win, combined with goals under 3.5. These two together, odds of 2.
Well, Roma have a good experience recently, actually kicking out Milan in the Europa League. But let's see what happened in this Bologna-Roma. Next week, we have our Europa League video. Remember to watch it. So we will analyze this tie, Bologna-Roma. Fiorentina-Parma is the next one. Fiorentina, remember, also alive in Europe, in the conference, even if they suffer a lot with Jagiellonia, and also lost in Udine. Leo, they have to focus more in Serie A than in Europe. Is a must win, since we are going to see this Cremonese Lecce. Is a good opportunity to put some distance with the relegation, now level on points with Lecce, remember, but it's not going to be easy, because Parma are in a really good run. Drew with Cagliari, won the previous 3, and are absolutely safe right now.
Yes, and they will be. They don't have any problems with the with the dropping zone, this Carlos Cuesta's Parma. For Fiorentina, a massive step back, I think, the defeat with Udinese. It was a deja vu from when they were struggling to leave the red zone. Banoli reverting to three-man defense did not help either. I understand that the absence of Dodo, the Brazilian right back, pushed the manager to tinker the formation, but it was instantly clear that the return to back three wouldn't go well. 𝐬𝐵𝗲 was not being able to leave its own half. Udinese dominated possession, created chances. And after Udinese scored the opening, I thought, okay, now this is the time for Banoli to push the team forward, but nothing even close to that we have seen. To have Jack Harrison on the wing back role, Gudmundsson and 𝗲𝗏𝗀 up front, for me in paper looked promising, but Fiorentina was toothless, to be honest. Static, Mandragora's game at the engine of midfield was not at his best, and Banoli also failed to fix anything at halftime. They had a little bit more of the ball, but Udinese was not interested in having it because they were already winning. And to go free at the back, it was not the only thing that Banoli rolled back. He also went back criticizing his players publicly, as he used to do. When he arrived, he mentioned that his players got the mentality all wrong, like if he was not responsible for chunks of that. They ended the game, Fiorentina, with no shots on target. Playing at home, of course, that will change for sure. But Parma sitting 9 points above the red zone is not a team that they will punish easily. Parma, as we saw in San Siro, they can soak pressure for large parts of the game. Focus and determination is not a problem for this Parma. Against Cagliari, they scored in the last 10 minutes of the game for the fourth match in a row. That's impressive, and as well it shows resilience and fighting spirit. They are without defeat in the last four, and all in all, the point with Cagliari, I think it was good for them. The momentum is on their side, so my take here is double chance Parma combined with goals over 1.5. These two together, odds of 2.7.
All right, we have an interesting game in Marassi, Genoa, Roma, Leo, still unable to win big games. They had it in their hands against Juventus 3-1, playing at home, playing well, I would say, but again, they couldn't make it. Still fourth in the table, but it was a very important game, that one, and now they have Genoa and Como. So very important for them to keep the fourth spot, and in between, as we spoke, the Europa League tie with Bologna. Genoa, one win in the last 5. Would you expect Roma to take all 3 points? I think it's risky. This could be a trap game for Roma.
Yes, plus it's not going to be as the reverse fixture when Roma won easily at home at the Olimpico 3-0 in the return of Daniele De Rossi. This is a different Genoa as well, Edu, since that defeat. They won 3 and they drew 4 since that 3-0 against Roma of the next 10 matches. Yes, they have problems, Genoa, even worse if you think than Roma in terms of point lost in the final minutes of matches. It happened with them against Napoli, Milan, Lazio are some of those games. With Inter, it was not one of those days for Genoa anyway, because they didn't produce a top performance. We saw them doing very well in San Siro against Milan when they were very close to get the 3 points, and it was a very solid defensive game, that one for Genoa, but with Inter was completely different. Probably the 2-0 was even a little bit short for what we have seen on the pitch. But for Roma to let go a 2-goal advantage with 12 minutes remaining, it's tough, Edu. And they struggled to win the big games in Serie A this season. We talk about that a lot. They conceded the last 2 goals from crosses. The first goal came also from a set piece, too passive to defend at times Roma. From the 19 goals they conceded this season, 9 come from a set piece. And also from those 19 goals, 7 goals were conceded in the last 15 minutes of the matches. And in contrast for Roma, they scored 37 goals, but only 6 of those came in the final 15 minutes of the game. And what I'm saying or pointing to this, because that is an important trait as well when you are fighting for something big. And I'm saying that Juventus, even if they are not top 4 at the moment, they have shown this season that they can win or rescue points in the final minutes of game. Inter have done it. Look, 2 weeks ago against Juventus, for instance. Milan have done it a lot. They did it as well last weekend against Cremonese, winning the game on added time. Napoli have done it as well last weekend against Verona. But for Roma, it's quite the opposite. They draw points with Napoli at the Diego Armando Maradona, being twice leading the game, and they conceded with a few minutes to go. And now what happened with Juventus? They were better than Milan in San Siro, let's remember. And then in the final minutes, they have a chance to score with a penalty, and Dybala missed it. So all those points here and there, and especially in big games for this Roma that could be costly, but still 4th on the table and 2 points behind Napoli. And as you said, it's not going to be easy for Roma against Genoa. At home is 3 wins and 1 defeat in the last 5 for them, and they scored 3 goals in each of those 3 wins at home. Genoa. That's why my take here is the goals market route. I'm not going X1 or X2. Goals over 2.5, odds of 2.5.
Tricky game, this one for La Lupa, for I Giallorossi. Then Derby d'Italia, the big game we have this weekend. Derby d'Italia, no, Derby de la Madonnina. Milan.
Madonnina, yeah.
Sorry. Derby de la Madonnina, Milan, Inter. We have to check here the head-to-head because no wins for Inter in the last 6 derbies, including the reverse fixture. Of course, Milan winning last season in Coppa Italia, Supercoppa, so in all the competitions. Inter struggling in the big games out of the Champions League, as we know. The only big win was in the Derby d'Italia against Juventus, against 10 men in the last minute. So a lot of doubts. At least, Leo, they bounce back after the defeat with Bodo Glimt, with a win at home against Genoa. But still, the bookies place Inter as favorites, of course, if we check the standings. And if we check also how Milan are playing lately, because the team has not crumbled. I think that word is too harsh, but it's kind of unwatchable as well, this Milan.
Yes, absolutely. And it's true that the head-to-head makes you think, okay, Milan can do something big on Sunday night, but at the same time, I mean, based on how they're playing, it's difficult to trust them. Although always a derby is a completely different story, and many times does not reflect what was happening before that game. But Inter did well against Genoa. It was never going to be easy mentally playing at home after the Bodo elimination, with the tifosi or some of them still in the mood of venting frustration. But it was a professional performance, I would say, mature, dominant from them. Inter, they still have those 10-point leads, could be 13 at the end of Sunday. And it's interesting because we are talking about an Inter with a 10-point lead at the top, but 3 of the 4 games they lost this season have been against Juventus, against Milan, and against Napoli. So, but Inter does not fail to win the games they are meant to win, like Genoa. The 2-0 for the Nerazzurri was the 14 in the last 15 league games. If you look at the numbers, it is one of the best seasons ever for Inter. Only twice they have more points at the start of March than they do have now. However, the mood, of course, this is a byproduct of the elimination with Bodo. But the mood around the team is far from those stats. A reporter actually told 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 after Genoa that he felt that the mood around the team was more like he would expect from a team on the brink of relegation rather than another league title. But that's the situation for Inter. But a win with Milan could change that perception, that feeling. On Tuesday, the 0-0 with 𝐿𝐵𝐵 in the first leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final left, as I said before, with 𝐿𝐵𝐵 everything open for the return leg. There were two changes, in the approach of 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 with Inter man marking against 𝐿𝐵𝐵. He didn't have Lautaro and Boni out injured. Thuram was not fully fit, so he introduced Andy Diouf, a winger in a more advanced and inside position behind the striker Esposito. But I don't think so he's going to repeat this kind of 3-4-2-1 against Milan, and we're going to see the more usual 3-5-2 with Thuram. If he doesn't have I think even if he's 80%, he will play with Esposito up front. With Genoa, we have Di Marco scoring. His goal on Saturday was his 20th goal involvement of the season in Serie A, massive. And Milan, yes, only secured the 3 points against Cremonese on added time. They created enough before Pavlovic scored the goal. They registered actually 3.56 expected goals, which is a lot. We talked last show of Pulisic struggling to find the back of the net, and he had chances in the first half. He was not clinical again. Milan has the same points, 57, as they did when they last won the Scudetto in 2022, but we are talking of a miracle here for a repeat of something like that. Inter with Juventus won finally a big game in Serie A under 𝐬𝐭, which was something we were asking for a very long time. They are favorites now, and rightly so. Might take Edu actually, and despite the head-to-head, I could take two from this derby de la Madonnina. Inter to win, odds of 2.25, sits good with me. And also both teams to score yes, with odds of 1.75 is another one which I could take.
Let me take a look at our smart bet tool. It's going for double chance. Here they are taking out the X, so 1 or 2. I actually don't like this kind of bets. So then we have a full-time result. Milan, first team to score, Milan. So they are trusting in the Rossoneri. And also we can check by community. And here we have one guy, Paulo Felipe, for instance, going for Inter. So let me know in the comment section which team are you backing, Milan or Inter. By the way, Leo, would you see Felipe Luis in any of these teams now that he's being sacked by Flamengo, or in Atlético de Madrid if 𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗀 Simeone decides to leave? Could be Inter a good fit?
I think, it will be a massive change of philosophy, to be honest, because from the years of Inzaghi with 𝐬𝐭, which is like in a way, even when you look at the system, a continuation, Felipe Luis will be a break with that, to be honest. I don't know, I'm more inclined to think that Felipe Luis' philosophy will suit more La Liga than Serie A, to be honest. I don't know why I'm a little bit scared of seeing a kind of like a Thiago Motta situation for him in Serie A. I mean, he thought he was going to go to Chelsea, and in the end, Chelsea was in conversation. That's why he got sacked, because basically the Flamengo hierarchy or director, they found out that Felipe Luis, while having conversations with Flamengo to renew his contract, he was talking with the Chelsea owners, with the Blue Corp Corporation. Felipe Luis apparently thinking that they wanted him for Chelsea, but Blue Corp wanted him for Strasbourg. And by the time Felipe Luis said, no, I'm not going to Strasbourg, and he sat down again with Flamengo director said, really? You were talking with someone else? No, now you're out. Just 4 months after he won the Copa Libertadores. But of course, his dream will be to be in Atlético Madrid, but that will be the time when 𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗀 decides to leave, and who knows what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, well, perhaps 𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗀 Simeone leaves with a title under his arm in the Copa del Rey. He could move to Inter. Why not? and Felipe Luis to Atletico de Madrid could be the perfect triangle. Why not? And for Monday, Leo, I think it's better to watch a movie, but still we have Lazio Sassuolo, really uninteresting, with Lazio having a horrible season, one win in the last 7 games, lost 2-0 in Torino, and Sassuolo the opposite, actually having a great season in their comeback to Serie A. They have a lot of quality, beat Atalanta, so 3 consecutive wins. Even if we check the standings, Sassuolo have 4 points more than Lazio.
Yes, amazing campaign for them. 5 wins in the last 6, 38 points. Extraordinary return to Serie A so far. They woke up right in time because they were 7 without a win before this great run. Away from home, 2 consecutive wins for them, and both seemed to score for Sassuolo with Pisa and Udinese. And Lazio at home is 1 win in the last 7. Edu, a dreadful campaign for this Lazio, which continued last weekend. Sarri talk of a lack of energy against Torino. I think it was a lack of energy and a lack of everything against Torino. So they are playing on Wednesday night, the semi-final, first leg of Coppa Italia with Atalanta, which should be the real focus of Sarri until the end of the season, because there's not much for them to play, to be honest. Parma, who's been looking down to the red zone for most of the season, is just now 1 point behind this Lazio. Sassuolo completely the opposite, a team that is never lacking energy, even when they are down to 10 minutes, like it happened against Atalanta with Pinamonti seeing a red card after just 15 minutes. For me, there's not much to think on this one. The odds on a double chance for Sassuolo are good. I'm taking them Sassuolo double chance 1.7.
All right, well, this is it, guys. Matchday 28 in Italy. Remember, new month, new chance to win some money in Oddspedia thanks to our tipster competitions. Check out the monthly one for March. And also remember, we have rivals for you where you can create your own tipster competition. Leo, your safe bet?
Juventus to win against Pisa, 1.28.
Okay, Pizza, I like it. Pizza, now I'm hungry, Leo. And the ACCA?
Juventus to win, combined with goals over 2.5. 𝐿𝐭𝐵 to win, Milan Inter, both seem to score. Yes, these 3 together, odds of 6.22.
Thank you, Leo. See you next week. Bye-bye.